let's head into the papers now, see what the headlines are across Nigeria. And I have with me in the studio to talk about all of this, journalist Charles Ideho is here, as well as public affairs analyst Olade Diario. Gentlemen, nice to see you both. Oh, yeah, the emir of the emir of TVC, yes, or the emir of paper review. TVC. Oh, okay, fine, very good. Okay, let's begin with the News Direct. Abule-Ado explosion. That's where we're starting from right now. Fire from a noodle seller ignites PMS from damaged pipeline. An eyewitness is saying this. A toddler rescued during excavations. And Sanwo-Olu announces 2 billion naira relief fund. Okay, certainly there has been several opinions as to what, but we have heard what the authorities have said. But there's a committee to look into and investigate all of that set up by the government of Lagos State. Now, from News Direct, let's go to the Daily Times. Daily Times is focusing on the APC crisis. Oshomole gets reprieve as appeal court halts suspension. More confusion as FCT court mandates Gaidom as acting chairman. NEC meeting postponed indefinitely. You'll find that on the front page of the Daily Times. Certainly, I know my guests will be interested to talk about this. Okay, Leadership newspaper is next now. Leadership says is focusing on the coronavirus. Federal government may suspend $22.7 billion loan, rules out travel ban, names more high-risk countries. 10 quoted companies lose 2.4 trillion naira to virus. CBN announces 50 billion naira credit facility for affected business, and 33 trillion naira debt stock not sustainable, as the DMO is saying this. You find all that on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Blueprint is where we go next, and Blueprint says Nigerian doctor dies of coronavirus in Canada. Will place travel restrictions if the federal government is giving conditions there, and says China, Italy, 6 others are high-risk nations. And that's the Blueprint. Okay, gentlemen, I'd like us to focus on the story on the Daily Times, which is on the APC crisis. Now, the court ruling from Abuja, set a lot of confusion as to what could happen, but the other courts from Kano try to stabilize things. Right now, with this final appeal court now, it seems there's more of assurance into, activities in the APC. But let me start with you, Olade Diario. I wonder what you make of this. There was a statement by the national leader of the APC saying that all of this is just preparation for 2023 by desperate politicians.
For me, it's a reflection of the failure in our political system. Whether it is because of 2023 or personal aggrandizement or personal positioning, selective positioning now for vintage benefits, it is not in the interest of the people and of the party. At the end of the day, APC will get bruised. Oshomole is a man of destiny. And it's the same way God told the Israelites that He was taking them to Canaan land. He didn't tell them they will meet the Red Sea. Okay. So this is His Red Sea. Okay. They still go to Canaan land, right? Okay. But they pass through the Red Sea.
But there is hope that at least they will get to Canaan.
I can tell you that.
Okay.
Only that the Oshomole that I know, one-on-one, lacks diplomacy, tact, guile, and is not guided. So he has to, moving forward now, he has to be a lot more circumspect and, in talking, be very careful. The way things had gone so very badly between him and Obaseki was unwarranted. In his shoes, I would never ever have allowed that. We could have played the game in other ways, whereby, because the madness, I would call it, started from his home front, which now snowballed to the national level. Those who are behind all of this, the earlier they sit down and behave before it becomes a full-blown war, the better for them. Okay. PDP, other parties are watching.
All right. Now, Charles, we've heard a lot of comments from people saying that Adams Oshomole has contributed to the party immensely, and a lot of persons who were even calling for because you remember the past chairman of the party, when he had issues, a lot of persons suggested Adams Oshomole, and they said he was the best replacement when it comes to taking the political party forward. And some persons who are now, calling against him were those who said he should come on board. What do you make of that?
Well, first, I think let me remove myself from.
He's from Edo State.
Because he mentioned something about Obaseki and Oshomole being responsible, but though I disagree, but I want to settle on the national plane.
Okay.
Because I'm an interested party back home. All right, so I won't talk about this Edo State. Let me just remain on the national.
Okay, you don't want to go back home.
I don't want to go back home. So let me just. So what I'm saying, I think for me, Oshomole as a leader has done well for APC. But see, what he lacked, as he said, is that Oshomole doesn't have full soldiers. He doesn't have, because a general who is going to fight a war must have full soldiers. Oshomole's flanks, politically speaking, are open. Okay, his defenses are open. He attacks, but when something comes behind him, he doesn't have anything fighting behind. Okay. Which is what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed. That's what he has, because he has men who are. If Tinubu were to face anything today, politically speaking, he doesn't have to fight his own war. No. There are people, his full soldiers, who are going to fight and make sure he. But that's exactly what Oshomole lacks. So, but you see, why the problem against Oshomole, what they have is that for the very first time in a long while, you have a leader who has decided to now make a party supreme, to place the party supremacy above all. Okay, that the party has to decide what to, instead of governors coming together and now deciding what happens in the state. Oshomole has been able to take that power away from the governor, take power away from the regions. So you no longer have regional power blocks. You now have a national power block, which is what he has been able to fight over. And I am happy for that. People who are watchers of Nigerian politics will also be happy for that. But in doing that, you also remember you're also a politician. One of my, you know him, he told me, Triple A told me, he said, look, Charles, when you are discussing, politics is not journalism. Politics is not also labor, okay? When you are discussing things, he said, leave a window open. Okay. That anything window, can happen. He said, leave a window open and don't draw any line. But Oshomole, in most cases, when he does something, all windows are shut. Yeah. You know?
He's a unionist. He's a unionist.
All windows are shut.
He's a unionist.
Once he draws a line, he draws a line. Okay. But when it now comes to realigning, there's a problem.
But in true terms, when he draws a line, he draws a line. Yes. Isn't that a good thing to say, okay, he is a precise, direct, and strategic person. He knows what he wants and he goes for it.
See, in leadership,
or in politics.
Sorry, political leadership. In political leadership. Okay. You cannot be a one-way man. You can't be Al-Hudsin. You must have it both ways. There must be channels for reconciliation, accommodation,
and compromise,
and inclusiveness. Okay? Otherwise, you will be seen as a dictator, and people will resist you. What we are having at national level now is resistance, pockets of resistance, now snowballing into a full-blown war. For me, it's not yet a bad day. Things can still be amended. That's why I said the appeal court has given them a leeway for reconciliation, whereby all the aggrieved parties can be called to a table and pacified. Remember, every war must always end around the table.
On the table.
So it will make better sense. Otherwise, if they destroy the party, they will have had to destroy themselves politically. Because to start from scratch again is not a tea party. We were all here. We saw how APC managed to gather the strength that gave it the victory, which now they have enjoyed. And those who are ambitious within the party should temper their ambition with common sense. Right. It is not, I mean, we still have over 3 years to go. So why are we now fighting over things? I mean, because the conclusion for people like me will be that, oh, it's not about the masses who voted in the people. We have enough national, global challenges that should make us to come together, create cohesion, align, and then we can move forward from there.
All right. So let me quickly add to it. And one other thing the Oshomole's leadership will also understand is that APC of today, as a conundrum, it has, you still have pockets of interest that, you know, these centrifugal forces are still there. That you have you still have the old APP alliance,
the legacy alliances,
they are still there. So
and ACN and stuff.
And these alliances, these pockets of alliance, they have refused to surrender all those things to the center.
We were thinking they've melted into each other already.
No, Nigeria has a name. It's just like Nigeria has a flag and anthem, democracy.
And pledge.
What they have is
But a collection of so many nations.
Exactly. So what I think Oshomo is to do, because what happened, I can liken it to 2015 when election was proposed about 1 month or so. So it has given him ample time to first of all reach out. Let's look how we can come afraid now. And then he can now begin to make compromises, even though he will remain resolute. But you can compromise without. I mean, there's a way to do it. You can balance it.
You can compromise without compromising.
Without compromising.
The operating word now is re-engineering.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
To re-engineer.
All right, political re-engineering.
Political re-engineering.
Okay, I'm learning new things now.
I know you're going to be paying.
All right, thank you very much, Charles Deho, for coming on the program. Thank you very much, Olade Idi. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's time for the paper review now. Let's head into the papers, see what the headlines are across Nigeria. I have with me in the studio journalist Charles Deho, as well as public affairs analyst Olade Idi. Gentlemen, nice to see you both. Great. Malaikum salam. You keep changing and that's really interesting. Exactly. That's interesting. All right, now News Direct is where we start from right now, and it is focusing on the Abule-Ado explosions. Fire from noodle seller, Indomie seller, ignites PMS from damaged pipeline. An eyewitness is recounting that account. And toddler rescued during excavations. Sanwo-Olu announces 2 billion naira relief fund. All that on the News Direct. Daily Times, on the other hand, is focusing on the APC crisis, and it says Oshomole gets reprieve as appeal court holds suspension. More confusion as FCT court mandates Gaydom as acting chairman. A NEC meeting postponed indefinitely. You find that on the front page of the Daily Times. Now, Leadership newspaper is next now. Coronavirus is the focus here. Federal government may suspend $22.7 billion loan, rules out travel ban, names more high-risk countries. 10 quoted companies lose 2.4 trillion naira to virus. CBN announces 50 billion naira credit facility for affected business, and 33 trillion naira debt stock not sustainable. DMO is revealing that. All that you're going to see on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Blueprint is where we go next, and it says Nigerian doctor dies of coronavirus in Canada. Will place travel restrictions if there's a federal government giving conditions there. Says China, Italy, 6 others are high-risk nations. Okay, that's the Blueprint. The Nation newspaper is next, and it is saying Oshomole survives. Buhari governors put off controversial NEC meeting, and Court of Appeal grants stay of action, and how governors revolt forced shift of meeting. Okay, that's what you see on the Nation newspaper. Then the Vanguard newspaper is also focusing on the same thing, the APC crisis, and is also saying Oshomole survives. Yeah, Appeal Court halts execution of suspension order. High Court approves Gaydom as acting chairman. Why APC postponed NEC meeting. Governors at loggerheads over legal requirements. Anger in anti-Oshomole's camp. Lawyers split. Gaydom unfit to sit in the National Working Committee, say Omwagege and others. Okay, we understand that meeting is supposed to hold today. From the Vanguard newspaper, let's go to the Daily Trust, which is the last one now, and it also centers around the APC crisis. Why Buhari governors postponed the NEC meeting. An appeal court rules in Oshomole's favor. Embattled chair to attend National Working Committee today. Okay, I understand the meeting is supposed to hold at about 2 p.m. today, 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. today, but certainly we'll bring you updates there. Now, gentlemen, I'd like us to still focus on the crisis within the ruling party, the APC. Now, if you recall stories from the last 20 years, even from the PDP when they were on, there were crises of this kind. A lot of people will say there's nothing strange. It's just a family affair.
That was the language.
Yeah, exactly. And they also say that it's just characteristics of democracy. That's how it works. Charles Deho, is that what you see here? It's just democracy. There's nothing strange there.
No,
all these crises go on.
Everything is strange there. when you look at what actually did PDP in, it was instability, partly instability, because when you have leadership of an organization and the leadership is not allowed to settle down to build a structure that will now make that organization be self-existing, there's a problem. PDP for 16 years, they have multiple, that's what gave that they reached our lexicon to say banana peel in whatever house. So the whatever peel in whatever house must not be allowed to cross over to the other side, because in the past 5 years, you had this is the third chairman, right? Okay, you had the Baba Kondo started it, then handed the baton over to also my uncle from Edo, Oyegu. Then that goes to Oshomole. So what they need to do, even as they are meeting today, is to ensure that all personal gains, all personal interests should be buried, should be subsumed under national interest. Allow the man who is there now to settle down.
But isn't that the biggest challenge?
No, it's a challenge. Let me bury it. Because, yeah, I do understand that personal interest is part of politics.
Yes.
But when you know that those personal interests will do a party in, because don't shy away from the fact that even the oppositions are lurking in the corner. Now, if there's anything that will happen, they spring in surprises. You may say PDP is lame duck, but it may not be. So what I intend to do to all of them must have their personal aggrandizement, personal interest to be subsumed under national interest, so that they allow the parties to work, not only work, to ensure you entrench a platform, entrench a system whereby if someone leaves there to do whoever is going to come, the system will work, the system will ensure that people, they all queue up behind that. Not that when you have a very powerful Lord of the Manor, a powerful one person there, then the system is weak. Okay. That will not help APC at all.
All right. Oladinde, the point there is, there's going to be a national working committee meeting today. What would you expect? If you are in a place to say, okay, members, all of you sit down, let me give you my little advice. What would it be?
You heard me when I said assalamu alaikum. What I'm trying to let you know is that I'll be going there with the olive branch. Peace. Peace. Even in ordinary situations, when there is no peace, there can be growth, there can be harmony, there can be progress or development. So for them to attend that meeting today, let everybody come there with a mind of peace. They shouldn't come confrontational or combative. It is not a war situation. We are under the same house. If we allow the roof to fall down on all of us, they may not survive it. Unfortunately, the political thinking in Nigeria is such that as this thing is going on, there will be field columnists within APC already meeting and meeting opposition, okay, trying to see in case something goes wrong somewhere. They must have
watching the permutations.
Exactly.
I mean, here, that's what we all do. But more importantly, they must remember that for APC to deliver value to the Nigerian masses who voted for them, the party must be strong, united, and standing. It's very critical. There's no two ways to it. Again, the chairman has to act his office. Okay. The chairman of a party is a father to all. Whatever partisanship or personal interest he has should not be made to come in clash with other people's interests.
Yeah, before we leave shortly now, Charles, the statement issued by the national leader, Tinubu, was stating that all of these wranglings are doing a great disservice to Buhari's administration, which is supposed to center on governance for this period of time. How much of that
I agree. Even when I mentioned personal interest and all that, I mean, people are already making permutation towards 2023. And he also said that you want to start a race when you have not even constructed the race tracks. You want to harvest the fruit. You have not even sown a seed. So I think what you need to do is that truly, when you begin to have all these rancor and wranglings, it will, what will happen is all will suffer, development will suffer, development will be on recess. Okay. And that was the basis upon which APC we all handed our collective mandate. If the APC doesn't have that peace to ensure that they move on to deliver, there's a problem there. So that's why the end of this must do something.
When you run a race, without a track, you are headed for disaster.
No, of course, exactly.
So common sense should be allowed to
prevail.
So you don't run a race and then
when
we finish running, we can put the tracks later.
Oh no, that's putting.
I'll bring the track later.
Yeah, I was just kidding there. All right, thank you very much, Olade, for your time. Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, let's head into the papers, see what the headlines are across Nigeria. I have with me in the studio journalist sharetheir, as well as public affairs analyst Olade Rio. It's nice to have you stay with us this morning.
Thank you, Mike.
Great.
Thank you.
News Direct is where we start. Abule-Ado explosions in Lagos is what the focus is right now. Fire from a noodle seller ignites PMS from damaged pipeline. An eyewitness is trying to recount what happened there from his own perspective. Toddler rescued during excavations, and Sanwo-Olu announces 2 billion naira relief fund. I'm sure certainly my guests will like to talk about this when we open the time for the discussions. Daily Times is where we go next, and it focuses on APC crisis. Oshomole gets reprieve as appeal court halts suspension. More confusion as FCT court mandates Gaidam as acting chairman. NEC meeting postponed indefinitely. That's Daily Trust. Now let's go to Leadership newspaper that focuses on the coronavirus. And it says federal government suspend $22.7 billion loan, rules out travel ban, names more high-risk countries, and 10 quoted companies lose 2.4 trillion naira to virus. CBN announces 50 billion naira credit facility for affected businesses, and 33 trillion naira debt stock not sustainable, as the Debt Management Office is saying that. That's LEAP. And then Blueprint is next. A Nigerian doctor dies of coronavirus in Canada. Will place travel restrictions if, that's the federal government giving conditions there. It says China, Italy, 6 others are high-risk nations. Okay, that's the Blueprint. Now from there, let's go to the Nation newspaper. Oshomole survives, and the Buhari governors put off controversial NEC meeting, and Court of Appeal grants stay of action, and how governors revolt forced a shift of meeting. Okay, all that's on the Nation. The Vanguard newspaper is next, and is focusing on the APC crisis. It still says Oshomole survives. Appeal court halts execution of suspension order. A High Court approves Gaidam as acting chairman. Why APC postponed the NEC meeting. Governors at loggerheads over legal requirements, and anger in anti-Oshomole's camp. Lawyers split on this. Gaidam unfit to sit on National Working Committee, says Omwagege and others. Okay, that's the Vanguard. Daily Trust is the last one now, and it's still focusing on the APC crisis. Why Buhari governors postponed the NEC meeting. An appeal court rules in Oshomole's favor. Embattled chair to attend National Working Committee today. And that meeting is supposed to hold at 2 p.m. today. All right. Away from the APC crisis, which we have talked about several times, which has made headlines on some of the papers, another issue that is on the burner right now is the Abule-Ado explosion that took place on Sunday. The devastation is on. In fact, you go there, some person said, what happened here is like a bomb, a heavy dynamite blasting. That was, they likened it to that, because if you see the impact on houses, on cars, and all the things around there is really, really devastating. The Lagos State government has announced a 2 billion naira relief fund to try to see how they can help all of that. Now, let me start with you, Olade. A lot of people have said that some houses, when it comes to planning where an oil pipeline passes, you see people building, either on Monile or anybody selling plots of land and so on. And the governor has said there will be the righting of wrongs when it comes to putting things right. Do you think that is where to start from?
Well, let me take it off from this point. As a professional security practitioner, I found it very unacceptable that we cannot pinpoint the cause of the inferno. A story said a truck hit a loaded gas cylinder and it busted into flames. Another report said a roadside food hawker caused the fire explosion. Yet, the original one that was buried around, where there was a pipeline explosion. For me, this is without credibility, and it's not the way to manage emergency and crisis at this community level. So we should begin to think, of how to correct media reportage in those areas. Now, my experience over the years is that we have this herd mentality. Because an expressway is emerging in a corridor, people go and start building houses around that place, forgetting that there will be other environmental implications.
But the regulators are supposed to ensure nobody builds.
We will get there.
Okay.
The pipelines have been laid for years. I used to live in Satellite Town way back 86, 87.
That was when there was sanity around.
When there was sanity. And then we saw the pipelines then. Apart from the trade fair complex, all the other places were used as farms by itinerant farmers. Suddenly, trade fair was sold out by an arrangement, and people who had less to do in the trade fair started buying and cutting up the land, started building humongous facilities, forgetting that communities needed to be planned. How do you have such a massive place without fire service station located in there? Perhaps they have no police station.
All right.
It's not impossible.
Okay.
So to right the wrongs now, the damage will be massive, because all of these things came about as a result of corruption.
Okay.
Houses that should not have been given approval were approved.
Okay. Charles, the point there is, if we have to get to the root of all of this, like the governor has set up a panel with the composition of a lot of stakeholders there to become the members, if we have to get to the root of this to ensure it doesn't happen again, should heads roll?
Well, if you're looking for heads to roll, question is, how do you identify the heads first? I personally don't believe that most of those houses that are built along those areas are approved.
Okay.
I don't think most of them are approved. But you see the lackadaisical attitude of some officials, say want to call it, just to speak Yoruba, they've already built it, they'll just leave them.
Just leave them. Okay.
Because if you go over there, now people say, oh, government is, because it's APC government, when PDP was there, they we like to politicize everything. So I really don't envy the government as we speak. But you see, what you look at is that, as he said, the pipeline that was laid in the 70s has been there before these houses came in there.
Exactly.
Somebody told me, he said, look, of all the things that God made on earth, only land is fixed. Land doesn't increase. If you want to, you can reclaim land, but land is fixed. So because population is increasing, and people will also seek shelter, which government is not doing as we speak. So what you find that people will build houses anywhere they find space. Okay? So that's why you see that all these areas that have been reserved, people are going over there. But you see, what government should do in order to mitigate the future occurrence, to mitigate what is going to happen, is that they must insist on a certain level of setback. Okay? We're not saying don't build, but if you must build, I think government should maybe about 200 meters setback away from either high tension wire or the pipeline. So that when anything happens,
all those specifications are there.
They are there, but they are not enforced.
They're not insisting on them.
They are not enforced.
So what means that if anything must happen, whether you like it or not, as far as pipeline will always, because even when the pipe is weak, and then sometimes it could also rupture, and then it could happen. So that you can mitigate, you can reduce the collateral damage. So I think what government should need to do is what they did in the last dispensation, where they gave contract to them, they destroyed some of the structures. So they need to push back some of the structures on that right of way of the pipeline. Give it maybe I don't know how wide 200 meters will be. If it's as wide as any, just give it. People should step back, so that when anything happens, yeah, people will have some losses, but the losses will be reduced. If you are not that, look at the one I think about last month or earlier this year or late last year. The thing happened at Abule-Ado around the area.
Exactly.
Look at the collateral damage. We are not up as we speak. Nobody has told us the remote causes. Nobody has told us whether anybody has been punished. So all we need to do is that government will begin to sit down. Forget about people are going to talk whether it's a PDP or APC government. Insist on what to do that is right. make sure the setback is set upon, and we must get that done.
All right. One other thing to add to what you want to say is the issue of those who have lost their lives and those who have lost a lot of things. When it comes to the issue of compensation, well, there's no amount of money you're going to compensate for your life, but the point there is something has happened,
that's right,
and there has to be some level of succor. What are you looking at from that window?
Well, for those who lost their properties, businesses, and all investments, there should be a way whereby that can be ameliorated, okay? But one thing I wanted to also emphasize, it happened before, it has to happen again, otherwise there won't be sanity. From Abule-Ado to Mile 2, there were houses under the high tension. They were brought down. Not one house was spared. Dito in Egbeda, they had the same problem. Government at that time, they brought them down without...
Because originally they are all legal structures. There wasn't supposed to be any housing on the...
Supposed to have its right of way without any encumbrance or anything under it. But what did we have? I remember then in in Abule-Ado, around that area, there were high-rising buildings up to 8 floors. That from within the building, you hear the vibrations from the high-tension cable.
Imagine that.
Yes, I was that much involved then. So, fine, there will be losses here and there. Perhaps people will learn their lessons. So that in future, before you bid, well, remember that your uncle's house was demolished for being under a wrong location. The same thing goes to people building in floodplains. A good example is OPIC and the Axis. That place is a floodplain. Anyhow you want to look at it, unless something more drastic is done to divert the water, flooding will always plague that area.
All right, we have to leave it here now. Our hearts go out to those who lost their lives and families who loved long.